Did you know there was a time in history when people danced themselves to death? Picture this. The year is 1518, in the bustling city of Strasbourg, France. Suddenly, an unusual outbreak sweeps across the city. Known today as the Dancing Plague of 1518, this bizarre event saw hundreds of people taken over by an irresistible urge to dance. Day in and day out, they moved to the rhythm of an unseen beat, dancing for days on end without rest. The mystery deepens as this relentless dancing led to exhaustion and, tragically, several deaths. This wasn't a joyous festival or coordinated event, but a spontaneous and inexplicable occurrence that has baffled historians and scientists for centuries. Set against the backdrop of a world far removed from our own, this event holds a peculiar place in our collective history. Now let's delve into the heart of this peculiar event and try to comprehend what really happened. It all started with a woman named Frau Trophäa. In the heart of summer, July 1518, Frau Trophäa, an ordinary resident of Strasbourg, did something extraordinary. Without any apparent reason or rhythm, she stepped onto the cobblestone streets and began to dance. Her movements were spontaneous, her expression impassive, as if she were in a trance. It was an unexpected spectacle, an enigma that caught the attention of the townsfolk. As days passed, her solo performance began to draw a crowd. Onlookers were intrigued, some were amused, but all were utterly bewildered. Yet what began as a spectacle soon turned into a spectacle of participation. One by one, people began to join in. Children, adults, the elderly, all were caught up in this strange contagion of dance. By the end of the week, dozens of Strasbourg's inhabitants were dancing in the streets alongside Frau Trophäa. The reaction of the villagers was a mixture of fascination and fear. They watched as their neighbors, friends, and family members succumbed to this inexplicable urge to dance. Some even believed it to be a divine curse or a form of witchcraft. The local authorities, equally perplexed, could only watch as their town turned into a dance floor. They were at a loss, unable to explain or stop the bizarre occurrence. As the days turned into nights, the dancing continued unabated. The dancers, despite their exhaustion, seemed unable to stop. They danced until they collapsed, only to rise again and continue their relentless jig. The once lively and bustling streets of Strasbourg had now become an eerie stage for this inexplicable, unending dance. This was no ordinary dance, nor was it a festive celebration. It was a dance of compulsion, a dance that seemed to hold its participants in a vice-like grip, a dance that was slowly turning deadly. And just like that, the streets of Strasbourg became a stage for this deadly dance. As the days turned into weeks, the dancing didn't stop. Indeed, it was a spectacle unlike any other, an unending whirl of bodies caught in a relentless rhythm that knew neither day nor night. The streets of Strasbourg were filled with an eerie symphony of footfalls, the soundtrack of a city in the grip of an inexplicable fever. People danced until they dropped, their bodies succumbing to the crushing weight of exhaustion. But even as they collapsed, others took their place, their feet pounding the cobblestones in a macabre dance of despair. It was a sight that would have been comical had it not been so tragic. For many of those who danced did not rise again. The dance was their last act, a bizarre finale to lives cut short by an unseen puppeteer. In the face of this escalating crisis, the local authorities were at a loss. How do you fight an enemy that you cannot see? An enemy that does not strike with sword or arrow, but with the irresistible pull of a dance? They tried to control the outbreak, imposing curfews and restrictions, but it was like trying to hold back the tide with a broom. The dancing continued, unabated and uncontrolled. Even as the authorities grappled with the crisis, the death toll continued to climb. Each dawn brought with it a grim tally of lives lost. Each sunset a fresh wave of dancers, their faces etched with a mix of fear and resignation. The city was caught in the grip of a deadly dance, a dance that promised nothing but despair and death. But amid the chaos and the despair, there was also defiance. A defiance born out of the sheer will to survive, a determination to keep going, to keep dancing, even in the face of certain death. For the people of Strasbourg, the dance was more than just an affliction. It was a testament to their indomitable spirit, a symbol of their unyielding resolve to face whatever life threw at them. The plague showed no signs of stopping, and the death toll was on the rise. So what caused this mysterious dancing plague? This is the question that has puzzled historians and scientists for centuries. Over the years, several theories have been proposed, each offering its own unique perspective on this bizarre event that took place in 1518. One of the most popular theories suggests ergot poisoning as the culprit. Ergot is a fungus that grows on rye and other grains. When consumed, it can cause hallucinations, spasms, and even uncontrollable movements. Could it be that the people of Strasbourg had unknowingly ingested ergot-contaminated bread? This certainly seems plausible, but the theory isn't without its weaknesses. For one, ergot poisoning typically results in gangrene due to its vasoconstrictive properties, a symptom not reported during the dancing plague. Additionally, the sustained dancing for periods as long as a month seems unlikely to be the result of ergot poisoning, which usually results in exhaustion much sooner. Another theory that has been put forward is that of mass hysteria, or more specifically, a sociogenic illness. This is when a group of people, often in close proximity, begin to exhibit similar physical symptoms without a clear cause. Could it be that the stress and fear of the times, remember, this was an era riddled with famine and disease, had led to a mass psychological breakdown of sorts? The strength of this theory lies in its ability to explain why the outbreak was confined to a specific group and location. However, it struggles to account for the sheer physical endurance of the dancers. Religious fanaticism, too, has been considered as a possible explanation. The Middle Ages were a time when superstitious beliefs ran high. Some believed that the dancers were part of a religious cult or were performing some sort of penance. The weakness of this theory, however, lies in the fact that there's no historical evidence to suggest that such a cult existed in Strasbourg at that time. Each of these theories brings its own compelling arguments to the table, yet each also leaves us with unanswered questions. Could it be a combination of these factors? Or perhaps there's another explanation entirely, waiting to be discovered by some enterprising historian or scientist of the future. One thing is certain. The dancing plague of 1518 is a fascinating mystery that continues to captivate us, even 5 centuries later. It serves as a testament to the fact that history, much like the individuals who dance their way through it, is full of unexpected twists and turns. Despite these theories, the true cause of the dancing plague remains a mystery. The dance continues, and so does our quest for answers. After months of non-stop dancing, the plague finally came to an end. As abruptly as it began, the bizarre spectacle started dwindling by September of 1518. The once crowded streets of Strasbourg grew quiet, and the feverish dance that had consumed its people for months slowly faded away. The aftermath of this strange plague was a city in recovery. Exhausted and traumatized, the survivors were left to pick up the pieces of their lives. The event had taken a heavy toll, physically and mentally, on the inhabitants. Many were left with lingering health issues due to the prolonged physical exertion, while others grappled with the psychological trauma of the inexplicable event. Despite the hardships, the people of Strasbourg displayed an admirable resilience. They gradually rebuilt their lives in their city, but the memory of the dancing plague was indelibly etched in their collective consciousness. The dancing plague of 1518 remains one of history's most baffling mysteries. So there we have it, the bizarre and deadly dancing plague of 1518. A tale as strange as it is true, where the joy of dance turned into an inexplicable and fatal frenzy. Starting with a single dancer, it escalated into a deadly dance that gripped an entire town. Theories abound, from mass hysteria to ergot poisoning, but none can fully explain this extraordinary event. The dancing plague represents a captivating mystery of our past, a puzzle piece in the grand tapestry of human history that keeps us intrigued. It reminds us of the complex and often baffling nature of human behavior and the enduring power of unexplained phenomena. We invite you to ponder over this historical enigma. What do you think caused the dancing plague? Do you have a theory we didn't mention? We'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas. Thank you for joining us on this journey into history's mysteries. Stay curious and keep exploring the past.